Happy Friday! Time for this week's Fitness Friday Q&A where I'm answering the questions that I've gotten from you guys online and through clients this week. So our first question is about what should you eat before a workout? I get this a lot and it's going to be somewhat unique to an individual. Some people do better on an empty stomach. Some people digest more quickly and can eat closer to their workout. However, as a general rule, if you're going to have a larger meal, especially one with higher fat, higher protein, you want to have that at least 3 to 4 hours before your workout. For some of you, it may be even longer. It just depends on your metabolism. And that's because you want to fully digest that meal before you start exercising. When we work out, blood pumps through our whole body. It's going to go to your working muscle groups and pump through your heart, and it goes away from your stomach. When you're digesting food, blood goes to your stomach to help break the food down. So if you have undigested food in your stomach and you're working out, it's just kind of sitting there and you're probably going to get a stomach ache and not feel very good. So you want to make sure that that meal has enough time to be broken down and go on its way before you start exercising. If you don't have 3 to 4 hours, say you get up in the morning and you're working out just in an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours, have something light. Usually a quick digesting carbohydrate is your best option. I like a banana, some fruit, or maybe a rice cake. Try to avoid high fats like peanut butter, nuts, things like that. And you only need just a little bit of protein, really for satiety. You don't necessarily need a lot, maybe a little scoop of whey protein or something like that to go with your carbohydrate. And then, depending on how you digest, that should be enough to give you energy so that you won't fatigue during your workout, but you also won't feel sick. Question number 2, how to monitor calorie burn. So I do wear a heart rate monitor. I also use a Fitbit, and I like to track calorie burn for some of my higher intensity cardio workouts. And it can be a really good way to get a general idea of maybe what your target intake should be, whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, or maintain. What's important to remember is that you can't accurately calculate calorie burn outside of a lab, and that is because, did you know that calorie burn is actually dictated by the amount of oxygen you consume? So it's how much you breathe in and breathe out. That's why we burn a lot more calories when we're working really hard and our breathing is very heavy. Obviously, we can't measure that, so heart rate monitors try to judge basically your intensity level, how hard you're working, by how high your heart rate goes. So you want to kind of keep in mind not just what the heart rate monitor says, but how hard you're working, and know that if your heart rate's very high but you're not breathing extremely heavy, then it may be overestimating your calorie burn a little bit, but it's always good to have a guideline to go off of. I use a polar heart rate monitor. I've had success with those. I like them. I do think you should have a chest strap. It's probably the best option. A Fitbit is going to give you a guesstimate. There is a Fitbit, the more expensive one does monitor heart rate. That one's going to be more accurate. This one is called the Charge. I think it's about $120. It tells you calories, but it's not monitoring heart rate. So what it's doing is you put in your age, your height, and your weight, and then it's taking that, estimating your resting metabolic rate, and then factoring in the activity level that it's monitoring for you to give you a rough idea of how many calories you're burning each day. It's not going to be exact, but it's certainly something to go off of, to use as a guide to kind of set your intake and then see what happens, how your body responds. If you gain weight, if you lose weight, if you maintain, and then you can go from there. Our last question today is protein. Can you eat too much protein? And the answer to that is actually yes. But protein is an important factor in weight loss. And the reason why I'm often telling clients you got to eat more protein, you got to get your protein up, is because protein is very thermogenic, which means that your body burns more calories digesting protein than it does other macronutrients. So it's going to give you a little bit of added bang for your buck. And it's also a great way to build muscle. Most of us don't need that much protein. The general recommendations are usually actually only 1 gram per kilogram, and that is usually under 100 grams a day, depending on your body weight. If you strength train, you're probably going to need more, probably about 1 gram per pound of body weight, depending on your body weight. If you're a larger person, I would take that down to 7.75 or a half per pound. But you can't have too much to the point that your body just can't use it, and it can only excrete so much. So you have the potential of some of that protein. It can take your overall calorie intake far too high, Your stomach's probably going to be a little uncomfortable. And some of that protein through gluconeogenesis can be converted and stored as fat. So you want to be careful that you're keeping your protein higher if you're trying to lose weight and if you're strength training, but that it's not too high. Don't make the mistake of trying to overeat on protein and undereat on carbohydrates. All three macronutrients are very important. They have very different uses in the body, and you want to make sure that you're eating the right balance of all three. So that's the Fitness Friday Q&A for this week. Please send me your questions. I'd love to answer anything that you'd like to know about next week, either on my Facebook page, shoot me an email, or on YouTube. Stay warm and have a great weekend.